Okay, we're live for episode 3 of Consume Chats Food. Today we'll be welcoming Mr. Alex Lewis. Let's just have a little look to see if he's... Oh, we're just waiting for him to join or view. So today we are back in the office. I can see I'm a big Heim fan. We're going to be talking to Alex, who's actually the current resident pop-up at Sheaf Street, which is the cafe just downstairs from our office. Alex actually took over the reins from myself and Rob when we were running Bread and Boar Kitchen last January. God, that's a long time ago now. So we did a 3-month residency of our cheese and charcuterie cheese boards for 3 months, and then Alex took over to do his Neapolitan pizza. I think I said it right this time. Is it right? Let's have a little look. Where is Mr. Lewis? Well, he's taking his time. We'll just pop a fun filter on while we wait for him. Well, this is going well for our third one. Do we know where he might be? Amy Haycock, online there. Where is he? So you want to shimmy him along? I mean, you can't be late for your own interview, can you? I mean, feel free, anyone that's on now, feel free to comment on what's your favourite pizza while we wait for Alice. Hi, Josh. What? Tandoori stuffed crust. Yes, that's our favourite pizza at Consume. For anyone that's just joined, Josh, we're just filling time while we wait for Mr. Lewis. Discussing our favourite pizzas and our favourite pizzerias. I think we've decided that it is Raja's. We do enjoy the tandoori stuffed crust pizza. Just to confirm, the crust is stuffed with cheese, not tandoori. Let's have a little look, see if he's with us yet. No. That's what happens with live events. You can't work with children or animals. Never goes to plan.
Or DJs.
Amy Haycock, he just needs to be viewing live. If he views live from Itza, I'll be able to add him. And we did do a test. Anybody else got any favourite pizzas? I mean, we've already had the tandoori stuffed crust twice. Rudy's pizza, but only Rudy's Manchester, Ancoats specifically.
You can't get a booking in Leeds at the moment.
The tension, I know. Though I have recently been thinking about career in comedy, so I could do my 5-minute sketch. I've been very much trying to get onto the Rice to Meet You podcast. Maybe I can give you like a few 5-minute slot of my hilarity around. Maybe we could do our rice cooker pitch right now. So if you do go onto the Rice to Meet You podcast, they do have a discount code for pizza. Oh, there he is! Oh, thank goodness! You're rattling on about my Rice to Meet You podcast. I'm a big fan. Okay, he's added. He's on his way. Here he is.
Hey, sorry,
Can we
I was
hear
just having a
you?
bit of trouble connecting to the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
You think you get that sorted before you, start a live chat, but no.
People have had to endure at least 5 minutes of outer padding, which I think they were hoping had finished now that I don't run Glug anymore. Anyway, let's crack on. So welcome, Mr.
I've heard you
Alex.
speak for 5 minutes before. I can empathise, to be honest.
Um,
Oh, just to check, Hannah,
Miss
sorry.
Alex Lewis of Itza Pizza. So, Alex, I've already given the intro regarding.
So I think I'm getting.
Ooh. Considering he's only downstairs, this is the worst connection we've had yet. We've lost Alex. We've probably lost our viewers as well. Maybe we should give out a discount code for pizza. But are we live?
No.
We're fine. So, Alex, tell us a little bit about Itza.
Can't use them. Okay, if you want to shoot, let's go.
So, I've given the intro about you being a pop-up kitchen downstairs at Sheep Street.
Yeah.
But if you want to tell us your own words a little bit about Itza, who you are,
So-
and how did you start Itza?
Yeah, cool. So I started Itza basically. I was working at Sheep Street on the bar, and people were doing food pop-ups there in the kitchen in the evening service. And you actually did the one before me, as you'll know full well. And I had no idea that it was possible to just kind of set up just say, okay, I'm just going to do it and actually do it until you kind of were like, we set up this whole thing in 2 weeks when you guys were doing bread and ball. Sorry, I'm just getting all this weird feedback coming from it. It's really annoying. But so I was working out, and then the opportunity came up, and you guys didn't know who was going to be the next one, and so I just said to James and Laura, who are the owners of Sheaf, and Dan, who's running Grub the Dog at the time, I was like, I'm really into food. I've got a good idea of something I can do. Yes, got some earphones. Finally.
Technical assistant.
Here we go. A whole new world.
A bit Blair Witch, isn't it? Like,
Perfect. So, I'm so sorry. Sheaf, if I could do it.
I love the feedback that we're getting from everybody else as we're doing the stream. It's so helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. And I basically just had an idea of, okay, so it's a bar. What's going to be, the best thing for a bar is obviously pizza. Everyone loves pizza, but then me being me, I didn't just want to do pizza. It had to be, authentic, and it had to be banging, using the best ingredients, and it had to just taste great. And so that's how I got started, really. I threw the whole thing together in about 2 months, I think. Going from having more or less never really made pizza before to making really good restaurant quality pizza in just a couple of months.
I think we have to say that Alex's pizza as well is it's not just standard pizza. It's really good pizza, and you made a real effort to source the ingredients. And I think that's highlighted by, if we take a step back, so if we talk a little bit about what did you do before you embarked on this food business career. That's, I think, what I found interesting is your degree and your background.
So my degree was at Uni of Leeds in genetics, and then I did a master's at Imperial in synthetic biology. And so I'd always kind of understood the importance of kind of science in cooking, but as I say, I never really delved into baking very much until I was like, I'm going to open a pizza restaurant. And then I started getting into it and using different dough recipes and things like that. And then I was like, wow, this is just science. This is exactly what I'm doing in the lab. I've got a notebook. I'm tweaking things. I'm trying to, it's amazing. And it just really meant that I could go from, knowing nothing about it to understanding it on a properly holistic, like molecular level in like a really quick time. And that's kind of the angle I go for with most cooking, is that if you can understand all the theory and the science behind it, then you can kind of just infer the rest almost. And it's like recipes will then just be a prompt for you more than they will be anything else, because you're thinking in your head like, okay, so I'm trying to form gluten. So like, what is that? That's proteins which are binding, which are being created by water, hydrating them, and they can form matrix. And it goes really deep with bacon. It's I honestly have no idea, but I'm absolutely loving it at the moment. And the beauty of it is that there's so much information out there that you can find, university level text, which is like proper scientific literature. It's a bit of a ball to read, but there's so much good information in there that you can apply to what you're doing. And I think it's also a testament. It's also a testament of the information age and just YouTube. I learned a lot from just YouTube as well, and how to do it. And we're literally in the time where it's like, my friend made an analogy of, it's like the Matrix, where you just kind of plug in this thing and it's like, oh, I can make restaurant quality pizza now.
Yeah. Everybody can make restaurant quality pizza. You, at least descriptions, that you have a very process led. So, and that's something that I found interesting to talk about on this particular IGTV, is the fact that it really is the science of pizza, because you've got an academic science background that you've applied to a type of cuisine that you're passionate about. So that's a little bit about the science side of it. But why this? Like, why Italian cuisine? Why did you pick pizza over so many other different things that you could apply your process?
So I guess there's a simple answer to that, and a bit more of a longer answer to that. The simple answer being that because I opened up at Sheep Street, the whole thing was almost kind of me just working there in the bar and thinking, what's going to work in this space? And again, bar food, pizza, you can't really go wrong with that. But then but I had been massively into Italian food beforehand. And I guess that kind of started with, I remember once close friends of mine when I was a kid, their parents, the mum was Italian, and just went round to the house, and she just made tomato pasta, just fusilli in really nice tomato sauce, and then just didn't shut up about it for weeks, my parents. And to this day, I was probably like 7 or 8 years old when I had that, but to this day I make it once, twice a week. I've got my own recipe of just like my tomato sauce. It's funnily enough called the reverse cowgirl method, which I've just totally come up with. And it basically just swaps it round. So it's like tomato, instead of like getting your olive oil and then you put your garlic in it and you're frying that off. That doesn't make sense, because olive oil has so much flavor, and all that gets lost as soon as you're applying any heat to it. So it's kind of like, so that needs to go on at the very end. It needs to be cold. So you start with your tomatoes, and then I get 1 tin of tomatoes. A third of it, sorry, I'm rambling about my pasta sauce here, but, and then, so I'll take a third of the tin, caramelize it down. So just cook it, all the moisture out of it, until it's almost just dry paste, and I'm just frying it on a pan. And then add another third of the tin, and then cook that down with a lot of water. And then you're developing the starches into sugars. And that's adding the sweetness to your dish. I should add that the first part was all about adding umami to the dish, you're caramelizing it. And then right at the end, the last third of the tin, I more or less put that in fresh. And then that's all your high notes and all your, how should I explain? Just all all the kind of aromatics really that you lose from cooking stuff out for a while. And so tomato sauce in itself is a massive thing for me. And obviously pizza is centered around tomato sauce. I used to work in an Italian restaurant as well.
I used to work at
Which,
a restaurant,
how is it?
but I was working at Bella Pasta. I worked at Bella Pasta for like 3 years.
Oh, pasta.
Sort of
Nice,
thing.
nice.
No.
Say it again.
So it's a similar kind of level of Italian cuisine.
Yeah. Well, this place was like it was whilst it kind of sparked an interest, it was also kind of like really how not to do things. I swear to God. So I was at the front of house. I was just waiting on, and we used to get £20 a night, flat rate. You work from 6 till midnight, just £20, or you work from, I don't know, 6 till 1 a.m. sometimes, and it's like, here's your £20. And they were bullies. Honestly, I remember being like 15 years old, and this guy is like, prodding me in the head, calling me an idiot, like all this sort of stuff. And so like, Itza is just so not about that. If I ever have, I've started now that business has really picked up after the lockdown, and so I'm getting people in every night to come and help me out. And you're just never going to get the best out of people if you're being like that. And you want them on board with the projects, and you want them to kind of believe in it, and just be their friend before you're their boss,
Yeah, I think I often fall foul of being a little bit too much of their friend is my issue. But
Yeah.
talking about yesterday on the IGTV is when you have a food brand, it's really important, well, any brand, it's really important to have some firm values behind that. And from what you're saying, that early insight into how not to treat people, especially in a environment. Working in hospitality is the most brutal of industries, so
It's stressful in itself.
yeah.
And what I always say to people is like, if you're going as fast as you possibly can, and those orders aren't coming out quick enough, like that's my fault because we're understaffed. So it's like, don't worry yourself. It's not, the pressure there shouldn't be as much pressure on chefs as there actually is what I'm kind of trying to get across. And people can get really kind of frustrated in that moment because they know they've just got this big line of checks, and it's like, we've got to get them out. To the point where they're shouting at one another, and then it all slows down, and it all just descends into madness. And I just can't do that.
That's definitely one of my things about people that want to go into hospitality is over glamorizing the industry. Being a chef, people kind of look at MasterChef and Celebrity MasterChef and stuff like that. It's absolutely horrible being in a kitchen. So that's one of my things when people say they want to set up a food business or they want to go into chefing. I'm always very harsh on the realities of what it's like. There are no breaks, there's no healthcare, there's no bonuses. So yeah, I think to go into a food business is definitely, you need a bit of commitment. And obviously you were with us as we were finishing up at Bread and Boar, and we could see you were asking the questions, you're interested. It was interesting for me to see you applying your kind of science processes to the food part. That's what it's about. To really refine a dish, you need to have that level of interest in it. Just looking at my questions, my other question I had was, what excites you about being part of the Leeds food scene? So obviously Sheep is based in Leeds, and that's predominantly where you've done your food at the moment. So what kind of excites you about being part of the Leeds?
So I think the good thing about Leeds is the food scene here is just so good that I know that if someone's eating my pizza and they're saying that's the best pizza I've ever had, or that's amazing, or whatever, then it really holds its weight. If I was just kind of where I'm from back home, I'm talking about this Italian joint which used to suck really, and people were like, wow, that's the best pizza I've ever had, I'd be like, well, yeah, but you've never tried Samsano tomatoes before, never been exposed to high quality pizza. But then here it's kind of like you're competing with Rudy's, Franco Manca, Pizza Fella, Napoli El Coro. There's so many really, really good pizzerias. That to get just one compliment back it means an awful lot. And also, I guess it's also a facet of me working from Sheaf Street, but everyone who comes down to Sheaf is just so sound that I just love chatting with everyone and making friends with people. The amount of friends I've made just doing this is unreal. And people are always just so understanding. And it's just awesome atmosphere to kind of be running a restaurant in.
Do you have any favourites on the food scene outside? I know you've given me some recommendations, so we've moved to Manchester. So across the board, from Manchester, London, when you were studying down there, to Leeds, have you got any favourites for Indian places? Because we're all about Indies.
Yeah. Okay. I'd say I'm not actually. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're independent. But for me, so my other passion is Indian cooking.
Yeah.
It's just insane. It's the opposite of Italian cooking. Italian cooking is all about minimalism and just kind of using a few sparse ingredients that are all super high quality and just making them shine on a plate together and using great combinations. Indian cooking is really in depth, using dozens of spices and things like that. So most of the time when I eat out, I'm just kind of like, let's go an Indian or something of that ilk. So Tharavadu in town is
shout out last week as well.
Yeah. That place is just next level, man. It's so good. It's like Kerala and South Indian cuisine. Quite a lot of light coconutty curries, loads of vegetarian vegetarian curries, and all their breads are just next level. All the parathas and the rotis, everything about that place is just done right for me.
Yeah.
That's always where I say to people, that's where you need to go and eat, just for value.
Yeah, I think like for me that's an issue of why I was such a fat kid, because on one side I've got my Chinese family, and on the other side I've got my Mauritian family, and I've got my grandma who's living with us making me roti and stuffed parathas for school after school every day. So it's a wonderful food experience, but I was a fat kid because it's about bread. You can't say no to Indian breads, but with a little bit of sauce, it doesn't matter. Even if it's like a nice veggie curry with it. So
yeah, very nice.
And also we're still keen to visit Dishoom, which you recommended.
Yeah, Dishoom's awesome.
Yeah.
Beautiful food.
Yeah, we did some work earlier in the year for Cricket, based down in London, for another Indian street food type cuisine, and yeah, even they said to us Dishoom, so there's on our list to try out. But I think we have got en groupe to Theravada at some point, because they were mentioned last week as well. So it's like we're being sponsored or something, but we aren't. We're going to go down and pay. So other than that's your favourite kind of things and being on Leeds food scene, what are your kind of hopes for the future? Are you going to keep on with Italian, or are you going to move to something different?
No, I mean, pizza for me is the way forward. It's the perfect food to sell, really. It's unanimously loved by everyone. It's really fun to make. Sometimes, and I'm dead. If a shift's not too busy, and I'm just kind of waiting for people to start turning up. I kind of get itching to just kind of get there and just start falling out of pizza. So I'll just do it and eat one, even though I'm not even hungry, or I'll just give it to someone on the bar or something like that. But what I would really, really love to get into is keeping my background in mind. I'd love to work in companies which develop synthetic meat products. So again, my master's is in synthetic biology. I'm really big into vegetarian and vegan food wherever it can be. I've only got one pizza that has meat on it on the menu, and that was a bit of a, should I just go full veggie? But I guess people like meat. But then I've always made sure that there's good vegan options on there, good vegetarian options on there. So I'd love to go and work with a company developing synthetic meat products. So we're growing muscle tissue essentially in a lab from stem cells, and then that is than meat, which you can just eat, and it's a new technology, and it's going to be really interesting where that goes in the future. But my dream would be able to work for one of these companies, run Itza alongside it, and then use Itza as a platform to be able to say, like, come down and try these pizzas, and I'm one of the first people that can, have dibs on this synthetic meat products, and it's totally vegan, but we can make cured sausages out of it, we can make andouille out of it, we can make pepperoni out of it, and all these things that you usually expect on a pizza, but it's going to be, quote unquote, purely vegan and ethical, and that would be the absolute dream of mine. And that's kind of what I want to.
That's a lot further than what I was thinking. I was thinking more you were going to say, like, I'm going to do the lasagna now, or, like, what are your hopes and dreams for it? But I think that's what was important for me when I said during the speeches, because I think there's a lot more behind Itza and yourself than Meat Sty, than just your rosemary fries and your pizzas. And I think that's what's interesting about the food scene definitely now, is there's so many people coming to the market that have got a different perspective, and I'm obviously really pleased. I think it's the Asian mum in me that's really pleased that you're using your science-based degree within what you're doing. But I think, do you have anything you want to promote? So we're still on Eat Out to Help Out, aren't we? It's a lot. Is it today?
Still on the Eat Out to Help Out tomorrow. I think that's the last one. Yeah. Unless Rishi decides to give us another month, but we'll see about that. So yeah, it's going to be half price tomorrow, but failing that, the rest of the weekend we're open. And also just my girlfriend Amy Haycock, because she does all of my photos and makes my Instagram look like a professional kitchen, and it's just, her food photography is amazing. So
she does all of our photos at Consume as well, and
yeah.
we'll be doing probably for Little Yellow Rice Co. when we go on tour. So yeah, we will love Amy. If you need a photographer, at Amy Haycock.
Amy Haycock Art on Instagram.
We all see it in unison. Amy's sponsoring us. So that's been great. Do you have anything else you want to tell us about Itza, or anything else you want to plug? Just remember to come.
So coming very shortly will be my supper clubs. So which is going to be, we're yet to decide on the days, because things are obviously changing around massively on Chief Street. But I'm going to move away from pizza and go into more like pastas and different stews and soups and things like that, and all sorts of different starters. So it'll be a sub club where you pay a set amount and you come down, and there'll be a 4 or 5 course meal, desserts and cheese boards and things like that. And I can assure you it'll all be absolutely amazing.
Now, it's going to be about, I love tiramisu, but how are you going to do a vegan spin on tiramisu?
Well, this is the thing about veganism for me, is that I wouldn't.
You can't have, you have to come up with something as good as a tiramisu for a pudding.
Well, yeah, you're not playing. If you're trying to make tiramisu out of, it's like with like vegan cheese. People are always like, "Why don't you have vegan cheese? Like, you should get vegan cheese." And I'm like, but if you're trying to make cheese out of like plant products, and you're not playing to the strengths of those ingredients. I know, I get that people just want that kind of cheesiness because they used to eat cheese and now they're vegan, but it's kind of like, just play to the strengths of your ingredients, whatever that is. And so, probably won't do a vegan tiramisu, but I will do a vegan dessert, and it'll be banging, but it won't be a tiramisu necessarily.
We shall see. Obviously, I'll be in for that. I'm due some feedback. We've fed you with Little Yellow Rice Co and bread and balls, so now I'm going to expect my return supper club dining out.
Yeah.
So that's what's coming next. So don't forget, tomorrow is the last Eat Out to Help Out. Half price a slice at Sheaf. Alex will be al fresco, so you can find him in the yard, but order from the front, please. And then he'll be here
Table service.
Yep, so wherever you sat, and then we'll be here all weekend for Sheaf's right through the bank holiday, and then after that we're excited to see what comes of these supper clubs, and what is next, and hopefully we'll see more stuff from Alex, give us some more behind the scenes, the science of how he does Itza. That'll be interesting to see. I
should also be doing a cooking class with oh god, I forgot the name. just follow me on Instagram. We're doing some pizza cooking classes. Itza Leeds is my Instagram, and if you want to come down and have a go using my oven, you know, shaping out some dough and giving it a crack, it should be a lot of fun.
Nice. Okay. Well, that's us. That's episode 3 with Itza Alex of at Itza Leeds below. Leeds Cookery School. There we go. Thank you, Laura Wellington. Leeds Cookery School is who we'll be running it with.
Yeah. There's also there is also another one that is Laura is right. Those guys I was speaking to, but someone else has since gone to me. And yeah, it should be a couple. So plenty of pizzas to be made.
Yeah, there's a long way to go yet. And Alex will be good with his social, so he'll be able to put that out. And Amy will take beautiful photographs, so it'll all be out there for you. So that's it. So we don't have any more food chats lined up. That's it from us. Next up will be our consumer conversations with business partnerships. So we'll be talking to various people about their business services that can help you. Maybe next week, which is September, which is a bit scary. But other than that, thank you so much, Alex. We've got those with our. That's what happens when you go live. You know, you always have difficulties, and everybody.
The show must go on.
Consumers very DIY, so we embrace it. We love it. We love it when things go wrong.
Same here.
Okay, we'll catch you at the weekend for some pizza and some rosemary fries. But thanks so much for joining us today, and thanks for our viewers for sticking with us. And we'll see you all again very soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Au revoir.